Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki Jai. One said, truth does not have to be found. Only the false has to be given. The truth is what is, that which always is. It is the false which comes and goes. And it is this attachment to the false. It seems to obscure. So how is it, if the truth is always there, that it seems to take so long to find? So in a way, it is our stubborn insistence on the validity of the false that makes this seeming journey continue. What is the basis for this false? The idea that I am something, I am somebody. Bhagavan said that I am is no trouble. I am something is all the trouble. So, what is the basis for this somethingness? Is this somethingness? Is this division between I am and I am something inherent in even the appearance of this that we call the world? Is the somethingness inherent in this world in the sense that as soon as the waking state comes or this world appears, you are something? This is worth investigating. Is it inherent in the appearance of this, what is called Maya, that you already consider yourself to be something? If it was that way, then freedom could not be possible. So it is not in the appearance of this clay, but it is in the believing in the idea of somethingness, in the idea of separation. And this learned self-interest, which is basically goal interest, that seems to make it extend. And one of the main reasons for this seeming journey to seem elongated for most of us in satsang is that classic example. Once that I see that there is no me, how does that help me? You see, this is the irony of the spiritual seeker. Is coming to the recognition that there is no such separation, there is no separate entity. But now, will I be happy? Will I be peaceful? Like I keep repeating this example. But it is not strange, it is very much like this that we come thinking that we are cats, looking in the mirror and seeing that there is no cat, and then thinking, how does that help the cat now that I see that there is no cat? So this selfishness is it continues, and the mind tries to co-opt the spiritual experiences also into our selfishness. Now that I had such a amazing experience of the truth, of God, of the self, what does that mean for me? But when you saw that there is God or the self, is there a meaning? This is impossible. As the Indian sage said, the lane is very narrow. If there is God, there cannot be me. If there is me, there cannot be God. So when you look at your reality, you find only the self. The self finds only the self. But the mind doesn't give up. It tries to convince the self itself that it is something, I am something, even using that experience. And this is what is called the spirituality. When we come to spirituality, then we are bound to have some spiritual insights, spiritual experiences. Do we always become less egoic as a result of that? Many times we become more egoic because we feel like there's something special that's happening to whom the non-existent one is. It? So, so this is what it is like. That's why I say truth for truth's sake, with no byproducts expected. They can come or not. If joy comes, good. If it doesn't come, good. And this is so in Satchitananda, stay with the Sat. The rest will take care of itself. We keep hankering after Ananda, Ananda, then we still running away from the Sat, the truth. So, how to find this and not be concerned about any of the byproducts of this? How to find this? This is the main point. Can you see it, hear it, touch it, smell it? It's not a perceptual experience. When you discover it like a great equation, E is equal to mc square, it is not that. So it cannot be conceptualized, it cannot be interpreted, it cannot even be described. So what is that which cannot be perceived and it cannot be described? Does that mean it's a lost cause? Does it mean that it is a lost cause to find ourselves? No, it isn't. In fact, this which cannot be perceived and cannot be described is apparent to you right now. It is in a way where you are looking from. Can you perceive the witness or the perceiver? Who is perceiving this hand? Who is perceiving it? You cannot deny that it is you, but you cannot describe that you. That is why you struggle with this very simple question. You cannot describe that one that perceives this hand. You cannot see it. How do you know it is you? You are aware of this perception, and you are aware that you are aware. You are not wordplay or roundabout. It is so inherently clear to you. Self-knowledge is that which you cannot lose actually. Forget about finding it. You cannot lose it. It is that apparent. The only trouble is, like I said, that it cannot be perceived, and it cannot be described conceptually. Now, if you heard this much, then your struggle as a spiritual seeker is over. And heard does not mean just audio venting or something. You heard it, you really heard it, truly. You check on what is being said. Then you will find it impossible to struggle as a seeker. Because what's in it for me is gone. What is expected to happen is gone. Whether you will have a difference in state or experience is gone. It's as simple as just isness. What is? Now, if you're expecting that this should mean something, as in some experience must happen, then we are back in the realm of perception. If you're expecting something to change, oh, now that I see myself, I found myself, how will my life be? It's the same with the cat example. The non existent cat looked into the mirror and saw that there is no cat. So, how does life change for the cat? Oh, audio is not clear. Somehow it became a bit lower. Now it should be better. Better now? What should the discovery of the self mean for the non existent one? So, the sages have given us many, many beautiful pointers. All of them are available. And if you use just one or two, you will find that it is so simple. So let's look at one pointer is that everything that comes and goes is not the reality which you are looking for. Nitya, Nitya Vivek. So find that real which does not come and go. So perception is gone because everything that we perceive comes and goes. Nothing comes and stays. Anything that comes means goes. Now, ideas, thoughts, emotion, sensation, pain, pleasure, all of this in the realm of perception. So that also does not keep to the standard of reality which the sages have defined for us. So what does? What meets that standard of truth which the sages have told us? Do you meet that standard? Does your reality meet that standard? It must. So, does anything the mind say meet that standard? Is it able to describe reality in any way? And we take this example many times that if you ask someone to describe even this room, how many concepts you need, describe this room completely. Small aspect of the appearance. If you had a million concepts, you could not describe it completely. You still miss on some shadow, some light, some color, some shade, somewhere. So that mind, which can't even describe this tiny phenomenal appearance, then it cannot definitely describe that which is empty of quality and attribute. So neither can it describe the saguna, nor can it describe the nirguna. But what do we rely on? One definition of satsang is the company of the truth. So, uh, but usually in our life, what do we rely on to tell us the truth? That we just cannot. That limited lawyer, in a way, which is representing the non-existent client, is not telling us any validity about reality. And our ego, the notion that I am something, is made up only of these ideas. I am this way, I am that way, I am good, I am bad, I have been a seeker, I had so many spiritual experiences, or why don't I have spiritual experiences? All of these things is what makes up this idea of me, isn't it? Now, empty of these notions, empty of these ideas, we come to what Bhagavan said, that reality just is. Reality is what it is. It always is. Only ignorance must go. Ignorance must go. Then the questioner asked him, so if it is these mental tendencies, which is called ignorance, which get in my way, how and when can I be rid of them? And Bhagavan said that you are now. There is no better shortcut in the world. Is it? There is no better shortcut in the world. If your ears are ripe enough to hear it. Reality is what it is. Ignorance must go, he said. Then the questioner asked very logical question. He said, when and how can it go? He said, right now, it is gone. So, who's with me so far? Heard some of it? Yeah. So, so this, okay, just play along with me, even if you don't believe it, yes? So this what is, see? And just if you're confused, I'll use this distinction. It doesn't have in reality this distinction. This what is, both the phenomenality aspect of it and the non-phenomenal aspect of it, the pure witnessing, the pure awareness, is what it is. And it is apparent now. Now my proposition to you is that you cannot struggle unless you put some expectation on this. Unless you put some expectation, some meaning, some idea on top of this. It is the end of your spiritual search. It is the end of all seeking actually. But let me make that clear. You don't put that expectation on it. This what is. You are not even distinguishing between your manifest aspect and your unmanifest aspect. But it is clear to you, not as a perception, not as a concept, just it is. Buddha nature cannot be conceived. Reality is what it is. All things are perfectly resolved in the unknown. All the various sages have told us this from all the traditions in the world. Same thing. Now, if you don't try to fit God into a box, you are fine. What seems to get in the way? What is the box made of? Everything that you were expecting out of the discovery. I was told that when I found God, then I would get some superpowers. I was told that I'll always just be happy. That was the whole point. So, okay, let's make it very simple. If you're expecting the discovery of the truth to have a point, then forget it. It is beyond anything that your intellect can fathom. and all your points and pointlessness is only in your intellect. As you meet what is right now, if you're expecting to fit it into your intellectual box, then you will find it a struggle. Be beyond the intellect. It's very tiny. Take the highest concept you have. What is the highest concept you have? What is the highest? See, don't be smart. Self, absolute, highest, highest itself. Let's say highest.
God.
I am God. Highest concept. And what is the smallest concept you have? Say ego, person. Some even said child. Somebody said the smallest concept is child, like T, which is fair. Okay. So from the absolute to child, huh, that box is what has enwrapped our life. That box and everything contained in it, between that which we have a notion of the absolute and we have the notion of the smallest, say an atom, a molecule, whatever, has entrapped, seemingly entrapped our life. I am telling you that that is nothing for you. This entire, the highest notion you have, the absolute Brahman itself. You see, if it is just a concept, then it is not Brahman. And the smallest, be it the ego, be it atom, be it child, whatever it may be, is just in your head. All of this is just in your head. But your life is not in your head. Your existence and awareness of even that existence is not confined to your head. So this mental paradigm or perspective has us trapped in a way. So go beyond this tiny intellect. Even tiny and large is in the intellect. This is what communication is. Go beyond these opposites, go beyond these things. And in fact, you are starting beyond right now. This is what Bhagavan meant when he said that. When the questioner said, when and how will I be free from my mental tendencies or ignorance? He said, you are in that state now. That's why I call it the best shortcut. If something had to be done, it is done. Now what is the next move? And even if your next move is just me, forget about it. If it is to remain, forget about it. If it is to abide, forget about it. If it is even that I have no move, forget about it. All intellect, mind.
Checkmate Robert.
See?
Checkmate Robert.
Check. That's why you are here in Satsang, presumably. See? Right now, you don't have a position. You see? So this is the starting point. I am this. Your being is just naturally present. But to give it any shape, any color, any distinction, is to play as something that you are not. And we call it a play, although for most of us it seems like it is suffering. That's why the Buddhists would say the world is suffering. So even if your next move is that I have no mood for it, if it is I am just going to be, forget about it. Nobody has succeeded. I'm just going to stay in the now, forget about it. I'm just going to remember this. Forget about it. move, no nothing, not even no move. In that openness, in that nakedness, your truth is apparent. And don't confuse this with the absence of activity. There is actually no such thing as doing and not doing. But we have confused this seeming activity to be a doing or a not doing. So, because why I'm telling you this is that it's a trick, because the mind will tell you that, does this mean if I forget about it, does it mean I have to quit my job and leave my family, live in a cave? None of that. I have not said any of that. All of this is like the flow of the wind. It is moving on itself. We have mistaken it to be doing. You see, and therefore guilt, pride, all this nonsense has come. Very simply ask often, like, what makes this a doing? But the movement of the ocean is not a doing, the movement of a tree is not a doing. Walking under the tree and a branch just tilts a bit and we hit our head on it. Do we blame the tree? How did you do that? Why did? Is it? No. Is it? So what makes this a doing must be the idea of agency, of volition, of an agent who is then individually making that movement happen. And it is so deeply entrenched to our psyche, this idea of doership, that even when we realize that there is no such individual doer, then because we cannot let go of our idea of doing and not doing, you pin it on God. You are the one doer. Not a blade of grass moves without your vision. But in your innocence, you had no such idea. When you were born, you had no such idea. Why did God get me out of my womb? I was so comfortable then. What should I do next? Should I cry? Yes, that sounds like a good idea. Let me cry. Now what? I feel like I'm a bit hungry. Let me drink some milk. Little baby saying, how did all that activity happen? So this idea that it is a doing, and therefore our ideas of what I should do next, what I should not do, forget about. So if I forget about it, what will I get? Forget about it. Have I forgotten about it? Forget. Should I keep coming to satsang? Forget about it. Does this mean I should not come to satsang? Forget about it. Do you have to have a conclusion? That's what the Zen master said. Do you need to understand? And what have you actually understood?
I forget about it.
Forget about it, forget about it. Now the cat will come meowing, obviously. But what happened? What did you get? Spent so many years looking for this truth. This was it? Maybe. Now, it's like somebody going to Paris, not entering the Louvre at all. Maybe. But complaining, oh, that was it? That was the Mona Lisa? So the mind which cannot fathom yourself has a lot of judgment about the self. And that is it? How can that be it? It has no idea. And yet we go with its certificate which said, oh, that was very simple. I expected it to be something else. No idea. But you buy into these judgments. So don't allow your mind to sell this short. Your own discovery of yourself is the discovery of that which does not die, it is never born. It is beyond this universe of time and space. So don't let this tiny one come and say, oh, that was it, that It's just nothing, it's so empty. That's all nonsense. In a way, it is like Sri Krishna's conversation with Arjuna. Krishna explained all this so beautifully, and then Arjuna says, "Look, I want to see the highest form." And Krishna probably had just finished telling him that I'm beyond form, beyond idea. And Krishna already said, okay, I have to make this one fight, so it's magnificent something, isn't it? But there's another story like this. Papaji, since he was very young, he used to have darshan of the physical aspect of Krishna. And maybe over a period of time there may be some specialness about that. So when he went to see Bhagwan, he went sometime and maybe he found Satsang too boring like this one. So, then when he was going to Arunachala, he used to see the form of Krishna. So many days he didn't go to Satsang. And Bhagwan asked him when he came back maybe to say goodbye or something. He said, where were you all this time? And Papaji said, I was playing with Krishna. And so Bhagwan said, so where is Krishna now? And Papaji said, no, not now. Right now he's not there. And Bhagwan told him something very strong. He said, that which comes and goes is not real. So, then the arrogance, specialness, all this dissolves. So it is not about, like when we started, all of you readily admitted that it cannot be perceived. And whatever the form that you will see is just a perception. There is no form today that we cannot program on a virtual reality himself. See, every form that you can fathom can be programmed and can be seen. So the self is not that limited. Of course, all forms are only just that as well. But what is the trouble then? The trouble is that we take that alone, that which is form alone to be the self. You see, and all of our attention focus for our entire lifetime goes on this side of the I amness. After waking state, after I am, then all of this play and we get stuck into this. Rarely does one look and say, what is on that side of the portal? What is on that side of I amness? What is the I who is now am? That is very rarely seen. So it is not, the world in itself is no trouble. But when we get attached, when we say that this is the entirety of it, it is such a huge self-denial. When we say that the world is all there is and I am just this body, it is such a huge self-denial because it is not your present experience right now. That which is witnessing everything, including this body, does it feel like an object to you? It cannot feel like an object to any of you. It is just that it is colorless, shapeless, sizeless. And because our mind cannot fathom it and the mind has become our best friend, we can feel like this is what our life is, contained in. Then when you hear somebody like Ashtavakra saying that the arcs of the universe, they come and go within you, you are that boundless ocean. It just sounds like a nice fantasy. But this is your reality right now. And what we consider ourselves to be is so far away from this. That it can seem like it is too much. And the mind will resist it with all its might. Sometimes it will tell you, I'm not understanding anything that he's saying. What is he saying? But nothing, if you look at every phrase, every sentence, Individually, it's quite straightforward. So this, because it does not fit into our existing paradigm of who we are, then what is being said here can sound too abstract or strange or something. So when I say the only requirement to be in satsang is openness, this is what I mean. Are you at least open to the fact that you are not an object in this world? And if you're not open to that, you want to continue in the perspective of being a limited object with location and duration. You see? All these words will sound very crazy. But if you're open that I may not just be this body mind, it's very simple. If you want to fit everything that is being said into our limited human perspective, a limited cat perspective, then it will be a struggle. You want some water again? That's why I say the discovery of yourself is before you hear the click. It's immediate before immediate. Now before you can fathom now. Being before we can just be. It is apparent to you before these notions come into play. And this is what Master Pankaj called the unborn, the notionless existence. So what is the but? Buts are gone. But what about me? You may not recognize it, but after this but is usually what about me? In various routes, of course. There is no me, but what about me? So now that I found that there is no me, what about me? Are you willing to let go of your investment in the me? What is the perfect happy ending you want for the me? Enlightenment, freedom, halo, supernatural abilities. To become a spiritual teacher. Every word you say sounds scriptural. If these are lurking, don't hide them. Shine your light on them and see that they are just made up. Have nothing to do with what is. Are still talking about the limited body mind entity. Still very far from Ashtavakra's pointing of being the boundless ocean. And that's why many times I give some advice in this way. Like many of us feel like we're doing the inquiry, but like a couple of months ago I realized that hardly anyone is doing the inquiry. We will start. So what do I mean by hardly anyone is doing the inquiry? We say, okay, Bhagavan had said, ask yourself, who am I? Ask yourself, find out, who am I? Then we start. Who am I? Is it very nice? This is coming. I feel like all my stress is going. I wonder if I can stay like this. I hope it can just be this way. It was really good, Bhagavan. He suggested really well. Who am I? But what happened to who am I? We get into this spiritual sightseeing when we do the inquiry. Can I keep this state? I'm so stable right now. Who are you? So inquiry is not for spiritual sightseeing. Some of it can happen, but keep your focus on the question. Who are you? The one who's enjoying peace is which one? The one that doesn't want peace to go away is which one? And many times, of course, the one who's complaining that why today peace is not coming is which one? Yesterday my inquiry was so good. Why was it good? Oh, yesterday it was very peaceful. But who are you? Today not so good. Why not so good? Because today it's a bit turbulent. But who are you? So when our spiritual practices become the sightseeing, we're checking on the state of existence. But inquiry is meant to take you beyond the universe, beyond existence. If you keep getting stuck at just the state of existence, then it is not really the inquiry. Then, like that, when I was talking, and then one said, yes, yes, Father, you're really helping. I'm coming back to peace again. Like, but who are you? You see, we're so addicted to the spiritual sightseeing and checking on our state that the main point is missing. Or we feel that actually the main point is to come to some state. Then how can freedom be? Guruji says that freedom is that in which all states come and go. But if our idea of freedom, that freedom itself is a state, you see, state means it's limited. No? Like a state, it's limited, it's not other states. That is why it is limited. Does that sound very free to you? No, it is very limited. So if freedom also was to become another state, then what kind of freedom would it be? Okay? Another trap that all of us fall into is that we come into this inner intuitive insight of the unchanging side, and then we feel like our attention must just remain over there. Okay? So in my attention, it should never go to anything. Then they get very confused when they see a video of Bhagavan reading the newspaper. How did he read the newspaper while his attention was only on the non-film? It's not about that at all. Attention can be wherever attention can be.
Quite some time.
Huh?
I've had that for quite some time.
Yeah, many have.
It's like, how do you take
No, if the self did not want to experience this universe, then the waking state will not come. And the experience of the universe can only come with attention. We only experience that which attention is on. Or conversely, we can say, whatever is experienced, we say that attention is on that. So try to force your attention to be this way or that way. It's not freedom. That's why sometimes I joke and say, when you meet a sage, do you feel like it's only with this? It's not like that. It's very naturally unfolding all this. So in the appearance, this is what I meant when I said that in the appearance of this world, the separation is not inherent. The separation needs more work. So we have to work harder to buy into the idea of our separation. Now, if your whole game at the moment is that you want to help the separate me, if our game at the moment is that yes, all this is fine, but actually, what about me? really, then you're just fooling around.
Father, so none of the reasons can be valid for this but none of the feeling blanks hold true.
Yeah.
Sometimes without anything after. But
Just a but.
yeah, yes.
But
You can't say anything because it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's seen to be wrong.
Yeah. So it's seen through, let's say.
Yes.
Yeah. But this is the,
Yeah.
in the sense that, but now the but is without any reason. Is also a reason. Slowly. It's very good. It's very good to expose these things because they can be subtle. You see now that, but now there is nothing left after the but. But all this was after the but. But now there is nothing after the but. Are you getting the point? What is the trouble? That but now there is nothing after the but. But now there is nothing after the but. Came after the but. If there was really nothing after the but, if the but comes about. No, we won't change the thing. Now you want to ask who suddenly came. Experience your problemlessness. Every thought is actually asserting some reality to you. It's asserting a version of reality which it wants buying for. Now, just that but in itself can't survive. Unless the idea becomes, but now this but which is alone should go. Okay? So unless you buy into that idea, no trouble. It's a fresh one though. I have to say it's a nice one. I enjoy it. I've not heard this before.
It's the part of something to experience.
Right? Something, I also give you a very useful tip I feel when I say that the mind is trying to sell you something which is saying that in that notion is included something better. And in the idea of better, we seem to leave that which is into the chase for that which is not. Does the mind tell you, okay, better do this because it will be worse for you? No, it's saying if you were to do that, it will be better. Now, I was saying that there are many problems with this. One is that it is presuming that what is not enough.
Yes.
Presumption that what is not
Simple.
too simple.
Ordinary.
Too ordinary. This is the same thing. No? You didn't go inside the Louvre, didn't go and see the Mona Lisa, but it is standing outside and commenting that she's too ordinary. I was expecting it to be much bigger. It's tiny, tiny.
That's not saying that you expect it to.
Yeah, but it is there. It's like it's too simple. Already has the expectation that it is supposed to be something else. Logical. What does the mind know about this? Does it have an experience of this? This is very important for all of you. which have no validity, especially in this case. Why am I saying especially in this case? Because at least with something phenomenal, you say, okay, it's roughly red in color, something like that, you can try and make some idea. But for that which is non phenomenal, beyond, in fact, distinction of phenomenal and non phenomenal, what is the mind connecting? It's like I've never seen baseball, which I've rarely seen. But if I've never seen baseball, but I have a lot of opinion about it, just to go how do Americans even play this game? I've never seen it. Have you seen it? So the mind's opinion of the self is just like that.
It's like something wants to it's giving that and at the same time saying that it's divine.
Forget about that one. Where do we go for the idea about ourselves? Like the idea of our present condition, the idea of what is real, where do we go? Most of the world goes to one who doesn't have any idea.
To the one that has only ideas.
Only ideas, but have nothing to do with, which have nothing to do with reality. Only ideas about time and space. So how to find this unborn, the boundless ocean? It's very good to expose these all the various mechanisms of the mind.
So at this point, if the trust keeps everything is fine with it.
If you need that one stick, one thorn, that is good. Guru Kripa Kevalam. One says the world keeps offering the exciting and pleasurable experiences as bait, and I tend to forget about the self. Till the next misery episode comes along. How do I stop biting on the bait? The trouble is not in the experiences in themselves. The trouble is in the other part, which is that I forget about myself, or I start to believe actually the self doesn't have to be remembered. The self is just what is. It is beyond remembering and forgetting. But what you actually mean is that I take myself, I begin to take myself to be something that I am not. And that is what leads to suffering. Now, this is the beautiful design of this world. And as we become sensitive to this, we will see that the tiniest egotism that we start to pick up, the poking start to happen. Is it? So, not to get in denial of that poking, but just to really look and say, what am I taking myself to be right now? Even in this moment, we can check. What is it that you're taking yourself to be? You're taking yourself to be somebody with this affliction who is not there. Like even this problem that happens to me, that means he's not there. So to use this poking to come back to this openness, natural effortless openness, is good enough. The world and the mind actually are doing their job very well. So you don't have to worry about what is showing up in your experience. Anytime you take yourself to be something that you're not, the poking is bound to come soon. When it comes, just look, just clarify to yourself who you are. Who are you? Not as a conceptual answer, and not as an experience. Even the conceptual answer, which is I am the self or I am the absolute, Aham Brahmanasmi, is merely a pointer. But if you become attached to that itself as emotion, then the pointer loses its efficacy. So any one form like this we can use, pointer like this we can use, and come back to just this effortless, unborn, emotionless existence. In your emotionlessness, you are higher than highest, lower than lowest. In your ideas about yourself, you seem to be stuck in this between high and low. Or the mind will come and say, but it can't be that simple. It can't be that simple. Again, the voice of somebody who has never really had a valid experience of reality. How long will we use that as a guide along the way? Somebody who's never been to Bangalore. Is that the perfect tourist guide to Bangalore for you? The mind only works with, in a way, is Maya itself, but another way to describe is to say that only works with that which can be fathomed. Another definition for Maya is that which can be measured. And in English, I was told that fathom also means that to measure. You see, to have a measure of. I fathom this, I have a measure of this. So, the mind can only fathom that which is measurable. So, how can it be a good tourist guide to the unmeasurable? It will only give you this range, 0 to infinity, lowest to highest, worst to best, down and up. These yesterday or tomorrow. All ideas which are within time and space, temporal and spatial. But your reality is not. For many of you now, the only trouble I can see is this. Now that I see that I am beyond the universe, what does it mean for me? So in that way, the meaning so you can continue. What does it mean for me? Now that I see that there is no me, how can I show everyone that now for me there is no me? That is okay. There's a subset of that trouble, but many of you are stuck in that also. Now that I see that there is no me, how can I show everyone that there is no me? Can they not see me to see that there is no me? They should be able to see me by now to see that there is no me. They must be really stupid. they see. For me, there is nothing. Then you can hear all this and then you can become guilty and say, oh, for me, I still feel like there's still a me. I want to
Get
do
to the
this.
normal.
I want to get to the normal. Either way, it's just nonsense. And to say that to the intellect is nonsense. Because the intellect always says, okay, one side has to be right, the other side has to be wrong. This has to be good, that has to be bad. This must be higher, this must be lower. This is how a simple pendulum of the intellect functions. Neutrality is unfathomable for it. It has to be this way or that. I must do or I must not do. I forget about do. What? You can see strange. So many times the greatest, most accomplished spiritual seekers have created a very nice framework of conceptual spirituality. But the problem I remember was the time in this one's life also he did that. But there comes a time, thankfully, that all this framework gets blown away, and then you start to see the pointlessness of having ideas about reality which cannot grab reality in any way. Yes,
The life we live is unreal. In this world of unreal, who is speaking to you?
who is? This is a very good question. So, if this life is unreal, is it? So let's not even go that far to begin with. At least our representation of what life is unreal. Like our conceptual representation of what life is unreal. Then you say, well, who is speaking to her? Is it? Now, uh, make this an easier question for me. Because how to make it easier? Make it a multiple choice question. So, what are the options? Who could it be? One is that it is two people talking to each other. No people, no separation, no you, no me. So that option is gone. What is option two?
Because I am listening to the Satsang.
Yes.
And I believe that it's divine providence. I am given this information for me to digest and then proceed in my spiritual path.
Now,
the
okay,
process
let's
of all-
can we
all
pause?
drama.
Just let's pause for a moment. If you're open, how would it be if none of that were needed? If that belief itself was just a made-up idea? I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying it is. But suppose it was. Check on your claims and see is there any basis for them? Is there any real basis or is it just like a spiritual make believe? And this can be a bit of tough medicine, so I'm sorry. If this is the first satsang, then you can tell me to ease up a bit. But tell me something that you really know.
I've been given the notion that I should consider this life as a dream. So I'm in the dream. Like for example, in the dream, we win $10 million. Next day we making sale.
Yeah.
The $10 million is not a loss.
Yeah.
It happened in a dream.
Yeah.
So what they're telling, even this life is a dream.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, all that I perceive through my sensory perception, they don't exist. So I'm sitting in front of the Guruji and listening. Is it that my own Atmic effulgence is telling me that this is the path to reach me? I'm just.
We can say that. Provisionally we can say that. Provisionally we can say things like this. But I want, like you rightly said, that these are provisional emotions that are given. Yeah. So these are provisional emotions that are given. But I want to take us beyond the provisional. Is it? So empty of any such perspective or notion, is it? Which may have been very useful in the past. It's okay. Is it? Empty of any of that. What is it that is just apparent to you? Empty of anything from the past.
Unlearn.
Huh?
Unlearn everything.
Yes, but empty of even concept of learn and unlearn. What is apparent to you right now? To just be.
Just be now.
Now, empty of even these subtlest notions, of even just be or just allow. Empty of even this. Don't have to bother with even them. No. It can feel a bit wobbly at first. That's fine. Really, it can feel that because our habit is to put life into a construct. Really, and suddenly somebody invites us to not put it into a construct. And we become very good at it since we were probably 2 years old or something. We were taught to put life into this construct. Okay? And that's why in spirituality also we start by putting some construct because we used to like that. But when we come to the end of even spirituality, even these are kept aside. Okay? And we are meeting ourselves in a very open way, okay? Independent of any construct. And initially it can feel a bit strange because our habit is to become to, okay, so what is happening now?
Initially, we are doubting Thomases.
We are doubting Thomases or we are just confused Thomases? What? We can get a bit confused. So, is this a dream or is this reality? I'm saying that all of this is in our intellect. Keep that intellect aside. You see? Whether this is a manifestation of my Atma, whether it is my inner divine presence speaking, all this also we use here also, but provisionally. For somehow for you, I want to not speak provisionally so much. So I want to tell you that suppose you are empty of all of these ideas, even the idea to just be or to just allow. Now what is that?
Difficult to say.
Not just difficult but impossible.
Impossible.
Impossible to conceptualize in any way. This is the beauty of the self. And this is self-knowledge. This is the knowledge which does not fit into any construct of intellectual knowledge. You cannot even say I got it or didn't get it because it's beyond those. It just is. That's why my master uses this term called isness. Now this isness actually is indescribable. Then we find that, in fact, most of my time in satsang these days goes in deconstructing spiritual nature. Because I find that many times seekers come to me and the only thing left for them in their baggage of suffering is even the spiritual ideas about themselves or about the world. But true reality is truly indescribable. So whatever spiritual ideas we had were steps in the run. You see, but when we come to the top of the ladder, we don't need to revisit those steps again.
Once at the ladder,
Yes.
take it to the topmost place. Discover all the notions and concepts and perception.
Yes. What is beyond concept and percept? Concept, precept, and percept.
Remember, in one of the books, somebody asked Bhagavan, when will I know that I am realized?
Yeah.
He says the day you don't have any doubts. In the kindergarten still such.
When we don't take ourselves to be anything, that is the end of the search. The mind will want to know what is the benefit of that. There is no benefit of that. Truth for truth's sake is one of the things that I say most often. Because it makes it very direct. When we keep thinking about how does that help me, if I discover the truth, what's going to happen to me, then whole Satsang we've been talking about that. So suppose that you do not, like the innocent child, you do not have any of these ideas, especially the spiritual ones. No. As you start to enjoy this, then the taste of perceptual experience and conceptual understanding will not seem as juicy. You start to enjoy this. I don't even want to call it your own presence or your own self sometimes. Provisionally we can use those words. You will start to enjoy or marinate in this. Then you won't want to capture it in a conceptual way. Because if some concepts could catch it actually, somebody would have caught it by now in concept. And somebody would say that this is it. This conceptual understanding is it. But everybody is constantly fighting about every concept that they have. Husband and wife are fighting, brother and sister are fighting, countrymen are fighting, we are fighting with other countries. Everybody is fighting about what? Everybody is believing that their conceptual representation of the world is correct and the other one is not. But what if nobody is correct? Like, can it truly be represented? I took the simple example of, can we represent this room in concept? Suppose you meet a friend tomorrow. You go back to Puttaparthi, you meet a friend, and you say, what happened? Who is this guy? Ananta? And you try to describe it. Will you be able to describe it? Suppose he has a lot of time. You could spend 3 hours describing it. Could you really describe what this is?
Such a discussion would mean that I have experienced something like that. Which means that again we are coming back to the
I was talking to a friend of mine, trying to describe Satsang and what happens out here. I typed a few sentences and I sometimes felt it was so silly. I was like, no, this is not right. And then I was trying hard to explain, but I was just not happening. I was like, okay, even this is also not feels silly or feels I'm trying to sell something.
If you come to a good answer, tell me, because I struggle all the time and somebody tell me, how would you describe it? What is satsang? I'm like, oh. You ask Garima. But actually everything in our life is like that.
is a concept of moksha. That is also a concept. That they say that moksha is movichaya. It's complete desirelessness. But there is also a concept.
Yes, because we start to desire it.
We desire moksha.
We desire desirelessness.
But they say that in one of the books, Dharma Artha Kama Moksha, is that you should learn the wealth through Dharma. And you should have only one desire for moksha. Even that you have to give up ultimately. But being in the kindergarten of course, spiritual things, so you need to have the desire for moksha to reach moksha.
If you have to have a desire, then you can desire it. But I am inviting you to really look, do you have to have a desire? like I've heard this also in spirituality, of course, that the desire for liberation is the most auspicious desire because first gets rid of all other desires that we have. Everything else seems a bit timid compared to this, and then it also swallows itself up. Is it? Then that way it's good. Is it? But what I'm saying is much more immediate than that. So
Because the intensity with which we pursue whatever path we choose, for that we need something to hold initially.
but this is a strange path. I'll tell you why. If I was to say, work really hard to sit where you're sitting right now, how much desire you need for that? You are sitting. And simpler than sitting, what is it? Even more obvious than sitting, what is it? You're here. Simpler than being here or not. Just I am beautiful. Simpler than even having or being is I. Now, if that is simplest, how much fuel you need to get there?
Most often simplest things in life
Yes,
becomes more difficult things.
exactly. Why? Because we have started putting value in difficulty. And we were told,
Hard work.
yeah, we were like, when it was difficult to learn ABCD, everybody said you must learn it because this will be helpful. It was difficult. Then we learned next standard, next. So we started to value difficulty. And that which is most natural, which is just, Bhagwan said the reality is just what it is. In fact, we were reading the other day, he said that this liberation itself can keep you stuck. The idea, like you were saying, the idea of liberation itself will keep you stuck. Because how to get to that which already is? And all these ideas, whether you take Kabir or you take any of the sages, they keep telling us the diamond is in your pocket, you are sitting on the box of treasure, begging, you see, all of this. So, but we never really turn and see. We always feel like, "Man, what is here?" That flipping little bit is very useful. So, how much effort is needed for you to get to exactly where you are? See? Now, the effort is needed because our habit is to pick up ideas about ourselves. See? So, let me take another metaphor. If ever since we were very, very young, our job was to be a porter at the airport or the railway station. So you are used to carrying picking up the bags from the conveyor, for example, right? So uh, now suddenly what happened is you discovered that you're a billionaire. You don't need to pick up these heavy bags. You see? But every time you take a flight and you cross the conveyor belt, you just feel like these bags are falling. Because it's happened since you were a child. So it feels like it is effort to not pick up the bags because that is the habit. Isn't it? So that is the effort that is needed to not pick up the phones. This conveyor belt of the mind will come, you see, with an idea after idea. You see, and it comes, you feel like it is me talking. You see, and this is why it's a issue. Like that. You see, and that is the habit. So just to let it go, like the Zen master said that thoughts are visitors. Keep your front door, back door open, let them come and go, don't serve them tea. And it sounds like very simple instruction. Really? Very simple instruction. Let them come and go. Don't serve them tea. But, really? Because our habit is like that. Habit is like that. Since we were very young, we want to represent life. We want to represent our condition in some pretense of truth. Really? But is it really? So this conveyor belt will come.
For me, few minutes of time spending on you let go of everything and just become still for something. Wonderful experience. But at the end, when you come back, the worldly things, if I have to do this, I have to do this, carrying that experience which you can indescribable throughout your day, but still getting things done. being detached inside but being active outside. That is actually.
And I am going to show you that it is possible, firstly. Um, but if you try to do it, it doesn't happen. I wonder if this can be heard. Is it? So somebody many times, for example, at work or some friends come and they say, how do you balance it? Is it? How do you balance your work life, your spirituality with work and kids and all of these things? Is it? I say I remember that when I was trying to balance it, it was not getting balanced. Is it? When I let go of this concept of balance, everything seems to unfold also. There's too much dualship in trying to run a life a certain way. I will run anyway. You see, a tree is not deciding, okay, my next branch should it go here, should it go there. I hope I give birth to some good fruits next time. Really? And it unfolds in the most beautiful way. And every tree is unique and yet very beautiful. Really? In the same way, every expression of that one consciousness is an expression of that one consciousness. It knows, if you have to say provincially, we can trust that it knows what it's doing.
Just things happen.
Things happen, but you don't take a position either of having to do or not do. That's what I was talking about. The tyranny of both the idea of doing or not doing. You see? Like there are many sadhu types who get stuck in this like idea of not doing. I'm not the doer. You see? But still the I is the false one. So neither are relevant. Still again in the box of intellect. How should I balance my life? How are you living life right now? Not one moment we can live as a mind. I sometimes take this example, maybe it will appeal to you with your scientific temperament. But I take this example sometimes, which is of we feel like we do so much, this we do, that we do. And you say, okay, but I sometimes say you don't know how to move a finger. And many times you may argue with me and say, but I do, see, show, I've moved my finger. Is it like that? I say, how you moved it? Oh, in my brain some neurons are fired and those neurons activate the nervous system, the nerves get activated. So I say, okay, before you can even move a finger, can you fire one neuron and show me? Right? And nobody knows how to fire a neuron. Is it? So we have taken
Cause and effect.
exactly what I was going to say. We have made cause and effect, like that famous example from the Yoga Vasishtha. Is it? The bird flies, the bird lands, settles on the branch of the coconut tree, the coconut falls. The nature of the mind is to say, because this, therefore that. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. The whole Latin saying. Which means that we confuse prior to be the cause, whereas we have no real way of ascertaining this.
When I face problems during the day, whatever the issues, it perturbs my sanchit. The way I am doing is, I take one step back. I said, this is a train. When it ends, all this thing doesn't matter. So why you get yourself? So this is it's a simple exercise, repeatedly making it so that it becomes habit. So that I can become more detached from all the things. I'm doing it, but many times, most of the time I fail. But at least I'm aware that I should do this way to practice.
Any tool, any implement that you feel works for you the best, you can use that. Sometimes we become gatherers of these. Bhagwan used to call them the thorns that are used to remove other thorns, and then even those thorns are thrown away. So it's good to have something like this. That, in fact, that is why it is so common in our culture to look at this world as a dream or illusion, so that it gives us some peace from it, from the activity of it. but actually there is no such thing as dream or waking. It is provisional again.
Yeah, yoga was talks about dream within a dream within a dream.
Like what is
It's
it?
complex. Yeah.
We have made a distinction between dream state and waking state because of our recency bias. Whatever state we are presently in, we feel like that is the most valuable. You see? So it's the same example of King Janakan. He said, I went to the master saying, I'm very confused. I had a dream that I was a butterfly, but now I'm confused whether it is the butterfly dreaming it is the king, or it is the king who dreamt it. And there's no way to say. This is the fragility of our human existence, that we can't even say that this waking state is a waking state and not a dream. Good. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki
Jai.
Guru Kripa Keval.